Hi guys, Sean here from digiDirect. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Fujifilm X-T30. Now this is basically a mini version of their flagship X-T3. Now the X-T3 has received quite a lot of praise, including from myself, and the X-T30 takes quite a lot of the functionality from the X-T3 and puts it into a smaller and more affordable package. So right off the bat it looks quite promising. Let's jump in for more info. So the X-T30 is a seriously small camera, and it's also one of the most stylish small-sized cameras to boot. It looks great, and it's also very easy to fit in a small bag. Design-wise, it's pretty similar to other Fujifilm bodies and the X-T20 in particular. It does have the distinctive manual shutter speed and exposure compensation dials that we see on a lot of Fuji cameras. There's a great joystick for autofocus and menu selection. The quick menu button here is raised, that's new over the X-T20, and the overall layout is quite good. I did find a little bit that the small size meant that I was occasionally accidentally pressing buttons. That's not something that usually affects me, but it did happen here a few times, but not major. It has a nice viewfinder, 2.36 million dots, which is a good resolution. It's certainly not the highest on the market, but at the price point of this camera, I wouldn't expect that. Certainly it does a good job. There's a tilting LCD screen. Sadly, it can't flip out side to side or all the way around for maximum flexibility. It is a touchscreen though. There's an HDMI, USB, and mic port, although Fujifilm has reverted back to their 2.5mm mic jack on this one, so you are going to need an adapter to go from 2.5mm to 3.5mm for most mics. There's no dedicated headphone jack, although you can get headphone audio from the USB port actually by using a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter, so it's possible. It only has one SD card slot, not two, and it's not weather sealed, but again, at this price point, those aren't things that I would really be expecting. The build quality is very good overall. The camera feels very nice in the hand. Overall, very good marks for the body. It's well designed, it's compact, it's stylish, and it has some really nice features throughout. So the X-T30 actually has the same 26 megapixel X-Trans 4 sensor that was new on the X-T3, which is really nice. And it even has the same processor, so it's got the same processing power as the X-T3. So while it's a small and affordable camera, it's really punching above its weight in terms of image quality and performance. And mentioning image quality here, the X-T30 definitely has that classic Fujifilm look. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because I mention this every time I review a Fujifilm camera, but they have got their color science down. There's something indescribable about a photo taken on a Fujifilm camera. It just looks beautiful. And of course, we've got all of those excellent film simulations that Fuji is well known for. Provia, Velvia, Astia, all of those make their way onto the X-T30, including all of the ones that were on the X-T3, such as the newer Eterna simulation that's good for video shooting as well. They're all in the X-T30. So really fantastic image quality across the board. Now tying in with that new processor is the autofocus system on the camera. So the X-T30 has up to 425 autofocus points that you can select, as well as a number of different tracking modes, including face and eye detection. Overall, the system is quite competent. It's very, very good. Since the X-T3 came out last year, there have been a couple new releases, notably the Sony a6400, that have really pushed the envelope in terms of autofocus performance. And it is noticeable that the X-T3 is not quite on par with those cameras, but overall it does a very respectable job. You can certainly use it in fast motion, you can use it to track subjects. I think it's very, very competent and absolutely will suit the needs of the vast majority of people who would be interested in this camera. So I think it does quite a solid job. It also can shoot at up to 8 frames per second burst shooting, which is a little bit slower than the 11 frames per second on the X-T3, but still quite respectable, so you can get some nice fast action burst shots. And you can even increase that up to 30 frames per second if you go into their sports crop mode. Now, one thing the X-T30 does not have is an in-body image stabilization system, and the X-T3 didn't have this either. It's a bit of a shame. It means that you're going to be relying on lens stabilization, and not every Fujifilm lens is stabilized. So you might want to keep that in mind if you're going to be doing a lot of long focal length shooting or perhaps a lot of handheld video shooting. Now, I know some people are probably going to say, oh no, putting an IBIS system in here would have made the body bigger, so I'd rather leave it out and have it be compact. I guess that's an argument, but looking at, for example, the Olympus EM10 Mark III, that has a fantastic in-body image stabilization system, and that camera is about the same size as this, if not smaller. So it's doable. Look, it's not the end of the world, but having an in-body stabilization system is becoming a pretty standard feature on most mirrorless cameras these days, and Fujifilm cameras, for the most part, don't yet have that. The X-T30 is also quite a competent little video shooter. So it can shoot at 4K up to 30 frames per second. Not up to 4K 60 like the X-T3 can, but really only the X-T3 and a couple Panasonic cameras can even do that yet, so I certainly wouldn't expect that on this camera. It can also do 1080 at up to 120 frames per second for some nice slow motion footage, and both of those can be shot at up to 200 megabits per second, which is quite a high quality level. Means that the picture quality is quite high, and that footage is going to stand up pretty well to some post-production work after the fact, which is really nice. Note, however, at 4K 30, there is a 10-minute record limit, so you're not going to be doing long record sessions at 4K, which is a bit of a drawback for a serious video shooter. It can also output 10-bit 422 footage out from the HDMI port if you're using an external recorder, which is a surprisingly advanced feature for a camera like this. Also, you can certainly shoot video in any of their film simulations, including the Eterna film simulation, which is a little bit kind of geared towards video use, or even their F-Log picture profile, which is a super flat profile for color grading. So overall, that record limit does limit it in 4K a little bit, but if you're a photographer who just wants to do some videos here and there, this is a very competent video shooter as well. Now, the very last thing that I'll mention is not to do with the camera itself, but it's just Fujifilm's lens lineup. Fujifilm has a very excellent lineup of really high quality lenses. There's a lot of different types, sizes, and so on. So, you know, if you're new to the Fujifilm system with the X-T30, you do have quite a large selection of high quality lenses to choose from. Overall, I think the X-T30 is a very strong camera. It doesn't lead the market in any specific area, but for its size and price, which is what I keep coming back to, it outputs better performance and better image quality than it really has any right to. Paired with good ergonomic design, good video features, and a very high quality lens lineup to work with, and Fujifilm definitely has a winner on their hands here. Now, my only real complaints about the X-T30 would be the lack of an in-body image stabilization system, and again, the fact that that screen does not flip out horizontally or all the way around. It's not fully articulating. But for the market for this camera, I don't think either of those are major criticisms. Now, the X-T30 is available for order on our website at www.digidirect.com.au, or you can also visit us in store where you can try the camera out for yourself, see that size factor. We've got stores in the Sydney CBD, Bondi Junction, Miranda, the Brisbane and Melbourne CBD, and Cannington, Western Australia, which is just outside of the Perth CBD. Thanks, guys. Take care.